A good Thursday evening to you, and many thanks for joining us on Rwanda Television News tonight. We do hope you had yourselves a great and productive day. This is what makes our top stories. On Thursday in Dubai, on the sidelines of the UN Climate Summit COP28, President Paul Kagame attended the Sustainable Markets Initiative. 45% of the women employed in the media industry encounter gender-based violence, research has shown. We are very glad to have your company tonight as we dive into the news in details. As we begin this edition, let us inform you that on a Thursday in Dubai, on the sidelines of the United Climate Summit, also known as COP28, President Paul Kagame attended the Sustainable Markets Initiative SMI reception co-hosted by HM King Charles III and UAE President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. And to other matters, but still on the COP28, Rwanda's delegation will present the country's ambitious climate plan, highlighting why Rwanda is a ideal location for ecological investment and introduce new initiatives to scale up green growth at the 28th UN Climate Change Conference, also known as COP28 in Dubai from November 30th, which is today, to December 12th. Speaking to RBA, Rwanda Environmental Management REMA Deputy Director General Faustin Munyazikwiye started asking more on what Rwanda brings to the table during the conference, and this is what he said.
Yeah, thank you very much. As you well said, the COP28 is the 28th session of Conference of the Parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. So Rwanda, as one of the parties to that convention, it has to participate in the climate change negotiations which are taking place here in Dubai. We are mainly focusing on negotiating a new collective quantified goal on climate finance. We want to agree on another figure of money or the quantity which will replace the 100 billion which was pledged in Paris Agreement. Indeed, we are also negotiating on how can we operationalize the Loss and Damage Fund, which is a new fund which was established last year in COP27. So today, from today and upwards, we are negotiating on its funding arrangement. How is it going to be replenished as a fund, and how also the fund is going to work to avail resources to developed countries. Those are the main ones we are targeting in the negotiations. We have so many, but on the other hand, we have more than 160 heads of state here present. They are here mainly for advancing the work in the Paris Agreement to save the world, where all the parties will meet and evaluate the progress made by different countries in terms of implementing or achieving the ultimate goal of Paris Agreement through the national determined contributions which were submitted. So this gathering is known as Global Stocktake. It was stipulated in the Paris Agreement that in 2023, all parties will meet and assess the progress made. So it is in that regard that one of the uniqueness of this scope is that people or heads of states will have time to do that assessment.
The African continent suffers more effects of carbon emissions and climate in general, yet the least emitter, and the continent will present a unified factors and goals during this conference, as REMA Deputy Director General went ahead to explain.
The African continent is one of the region which is very perspective in this process. We have African group of negotiators which are negotiating with a common position, but on the other hand, we are coming from the situation where Africa is the most vulnerable continent, but yet is the least contributing to climate change. Our emissions is around 4% global wise. As you can see, the impact is very minimal. But to position ourselves in a way that we can be on the same table with our partners from the north, we want, first of all, to have one common voice. That's one. Second, we want to make sure that we show all the opportunities we have. We still have room of growth in terms of economy, in terms of environment, in terms of environmental conservation, forest and others. We have natural resources. We have all the commodities developed countries can ever wish. So it's time to stand together and make sure that we are now on the table as partners, not just as funders and receivers of the aid. That was not an approach which helped most of the African countries.
Foste Munyazikwiye, the Deputy Director General of the Rwanda Environmental Management Authority, REMA, will bring you more details as the COP28 conference goes on in Dubai. Now, moving ahead to other matters, officials in the public agencies responsible for education and technology and stakeholders in these sectors highlighted cooperation as an important factor in achieving desired goals. This was echoed during the Innovation Africa Summit that unfolded in Kigali on Thursday.
Mark Seabrook is the CEO of Snaplify, a South African educational technology company. He is of the view that African countries have identical challenges in terms of adopting technology in their education systems.
What we need a lot of is more collaboration on projects. If you're going to make a meaningful difference in education in Africa, it's not going to be done by Snaplify alone. It's not going to be done by a device manufacturer alone or a telecommunications company. We need to work together to provide the infrastructure, the devices, and the platform, and we need government to provide funding for that and to bring those parties together.
Researchers point out that African countries need to integrate the curriculums in order to build an education sector that is resistant to external shocks. These require proper infrastructure, quality lessons that are meant to address existing challenges, as well as proper knowledge for teachers and students.
This is where technology comes in, where you need to match learning with the teacher, which I call LT, and TL, learning using technology. And you create a balance. Let us remember that we are in Africa, and therefore the best technology you have is the technology that you are having. Don't dream about what you don't have, but start with what you have. If it is textbooks, put digital media in the textbooks. If it is radio, use it. Television, computing devices, use them. But have appropriate content that will drive the way.
South African Deputy Minister of Basic Education, Regina Maule, says knowledge sharing is important for Africa's education sector.
The exchange of best practice model with other African countries, it helps us big time, because Kenya and Rwanda are doing extremely well. Some can think that South Africa is a bit advanced, but we, from time to time, come to Rwanda, go to Kenya to learn these best practice models. We go to Ghana, exchange best practice models, and we go and apply them in the South African context, but making sure that we want our learners to fit in the world.
The Rwanda's Minister of Education, Gaspard Twagirayezu, reiterated that Rwanda remains committed to enhancing the adoption of technology into the country's education sector.
We're centered around access. How do we ensure that our schools and our systems have enough and the proper devices in our classrooms? We also had another discussion on content. How do we ensure that we have appropriate content that enables our learners to be able to learn more effectively? And another facet of that is, of course, around training, teacher training, and how, because it's one thing to have access to devices and content, but also we need to make sure that we have teachers who are not only able to use technology, but who are able to use it in teaching.
The 3-day conference will assess different challenges in the education sector and how suitable solutions can be found for respective countries. To achieve set objectives, cooperation is an important factor for government agencies and partners in building infrastructure, teacher skills, technology tools, and internet services.
Amidst a backdrop where research underscores that 45% of women employed in the media industry encounter gender-based violence, professionals within the sector contend that such challenges contribute significantly to the notable gender disparity, with fewer women than men choosing careers in media. Olive Ntete has the details.
These are among the key points being discussed in the conference Convening African Women in Media being held in Kigali. The discussions are focusing on measures that need to be taken to eliminate gender-based violence in the media sector and in the society in general, acknowledging the responsibility media outlets bear in shaping public perceptions. Through these discussions, the Kigali Declaration on Eliminating Gender-Based Violence in the Media Sector was also revised and discussed on. Dr. Yemisi Akinbobola, co-founder and CEO of the African Women in Media, explains more about the declaration.
In the declaration, we set out what we mean by gender-based violence that experienced by women journalists in the media. We set out what are the key issues that we want to address, and very importantly, we set out what is the minimum standard expectations that we expect from stakeholders which include media organizations, media leaders, associations, authorities, and policymakers, and third-party platforms. There's a whole area of kind of stakeholdership of this declaration, and so what we're trying to achieve is to say, okay, this is the minimum standard, is to say this, and we also acknowledge all of the declarations, all of the policies, all of the actions already taken so far. So we're saying, okay, this is what's happened so far, but yet the problem persists, and therefore in order for us to progress to the next level, this is the minimum standard that we require. So that is the fundamental basis of the declaration. We try to spell out what we're trying to say, what we're trying to achieve, and whose role it is, what we expect from them, and by when, and what does success look like.
According to Arthur Simnia, the Director General of the Rwanda Broadcasting Agency, there is need to take concrete actions in eliminating gender-based violence in media outlets.
Number one is ownership. Ownership on the part of media managers. And ownership means what? It means paying attention to these issues. Paying attention, but also taking action whenever such cases come up. The second thing is awareness. Because some people don't understand, GBV might be so broad. But what's the physical violence, psychological violence, verbal violence, all these things, we need to be able to broaden the awareness within our media organizations, within our newsrooms, to ensure that everybody understands. When we're talking about gender-based violence, what are we talking about? Let us have ownership. Let us be sensitive. Let us know that these things are happening within our midst and take concrete action.
The spokesperson of the Rwandan government, Yolande Makolo, notes that collaboration between institutions is key in eradicating this violence in society because the media plays an important role in these activities.
In Rwanda, we have had extreme experiences of gender-based violence because of our particular history. Addressing this problem was a priority for the post-genocide leadership in Rwanda. This is why we have worked very hard on being intentional and consistent about educating women and the rest of society about our rights and laws protecting women and girls, about raising awareness of gender-based violence in workplaces, newsrooms included, and in our homes, and ensuring that perpetrators are punished in accordance with the law. We in government, together with media organizations and civil society, need to collaborate even closer. The goal really should be for everyone involved in the media sector to give their best, and for our societies to benefit from the important work that journalists do. We want both African boys and girls to aspire to be great journalists or media executives, and to feel welcome, supported, and fulfilled in this profession. So as Yemisi said earlier, let's keep working together to make this a reality.
Statistics show that globally, 1 in 3 women is a survivor of gender-based violence. Research also highlights that more than 45% of women working in this profession experience gender-based violence. Olive Nete, RTV News.
Thank you, Olive, for the report, and we'll transition it to agriculture matters. Farmers say that the government's program of allocating vacant plots of arable land across the country to residents for agricultural cultivation has started contributing to food security efforts.
In the Nyansenge swamp, located between the Rutunga sector in the Gesabo district and the Guamiko and Rutayo sectors in the Gicumbi district, women Claudine and her neighbors came to visit their farms, while others are harvesting crops, mostly domestic. The wetland has an area of 18 hectares and has been dormant for a long period. Farmers are happy that since the government assigned the land to them for cultivation, they have started to harvest different crops. We didn't expect it. The secretariats came and said we are allowed to cultivate sweet potatoes, beans and other crops that yield quickly. We thank him. We didn't have where to cultivate, but we now have what to eat, and citizens planted the various crops. Expect too much rain lately. We have been getting good yields. We wish we can still use the land for a longer period, like 3 years. The Deputy Director General in charge of Agriculture Development at Rwanda Agriculture and Animal Resources Development Board, Dr. Wamahoro Florence, noted that the programs will continue. We have more effort in the season in order to increase yields, especially that the 2024A season came after 3 seasons that left us without high yields due to climate change effects and the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, the rise in prices for fertilizers and more. We are not increasing the land only, but also doing more agricultural campaigns, training farmers, increasing agricultural additives, and more. According to the Rwanda Agriculture and Animal Resources Development Board, this year, 12,441 hectares of uncultivated land were cultivated in the country, including 8,368 hectares that were only used as pastures, and 3,777 hectares of wetlands and other land belonging to individuals that were not dormant.
Thank you, Prince, for this report. And moving ahead, lack of teachers' competence skills is said to be one of the reasons behind a few number of youth undertaking STEM studies. This was said by teachers as Rwanda aims at having 80% of higher education scholars joining STEM studies by 2024 from 59% in 2017. Prince Manzi continues.
The AIMS Rwanda teacher training program was initiated by the AIMS Rwanda and the Mastercard Foundation. Apart from training teachers, this program provided the equips needed in STEM and TVET studies. Some of the trained teachers say that lack of teachers' competence skills and lack of equipments resulted to few students joining STEM studies. Because where these equipment were located, there was a difference in the number of students enrolled in the STEM studies. The number increased. It also helped them in understanding what they're doing, as courses are practical. In this 6 years long program, 7,000 STEM teachers were trained across 14 districts. The AIMS Rwanda Center President, Professor Sam Yala, states that this is not the closure, but rather renovation of the approach.
Not only in number of girls and boys who are pursuing STEM education, but also in the quality, in how confident they feel, and so they can select those subjects. It's not the closure. This is just the start of a new phase. It should be another phase, a new phase of AIMS teacher training program. Now we have to sit together to define how the program will be implemented. We have to co-create it all together.
The head of the STEM department at the National Examination and School Inspection Authority, Kamin Kanamgire, appreciates various partners that support the government ambitions, adding that there are various programs in place initiated by the government aimed at increasing the number of STEM students. STEM studies are being boosted in the new education policy, and it is understandable that whatever we do as boards under the Ministry of Education is to implement this policy. It is obvious that the number of these students are increasing. In the LST1 goals, the government aims at increasing the number of higher education scholars joining STEM studies from 59% in 2017 to 80% by 2024.
BPR Bank Rwanda, in partnership with Ven Limited, have launched Gwiza, a digital platform meant to facilitate saving groups. Groups that will save through this platform will generate a 7% interest rate per year.
The cutting-edge digital savings wallet will offer the bank's customers a secure and seamless digital banking experience.
So the partnership between MVEN and BPR is primarily targeted towards the MVEN clients that have been using Gwiza, but also BPR clients that may be interested. And what we're doing is we are enabling customers that use the Gwiza platform to be able to save and earn interest on their savings through BPR. They'll also be able to do their bill payments. They can pull money between their bank account and their Gwiza wallet. But also in future, and which is one of the products that we're building with BPR, is the ability for them to have access to microloans. And the primary target market of this is people who are in savings groups. Usually they have a limited fund from which they can borrow. And once now we've been able to bank them and credit score them, then we can build a lending product for them with BPR so that they have a bigger pool. But also we're building for them a transferable financial track record so that once they have outgrown the groups, they're able to transition into formal banking with BPR.
The head of retail banking at BPR, Nwari Innocent, says that this technology will enhance digital banking solutions.
Today, we are launching this product, and we are targeting any group countrywide that has that culture of saving together. We are giving them that message that today we have a solution for them. They can come and connect with us, and we enable them to continue doing efficiently their savings. And also we are following up with other services. We'll be able to lend them based on the way they are saving, and also enabling the transaction. They will be able to send money, they'll be able to pay bills, they'll be able to pay for services and goods. So it's a platform that will really enable financial inclusion in the country.
4,000 saving groups with a total of 70,000 members have subscribed to Gwiza Digital Wallet.
And that's all from us here at RBA's Rwanda Television News. On behalf of the entire news production as well as the technical team, many thanks for being with us on today's edition. And up until next time, stay safe and have a great evening.